A question on Duterte's war on drugs. Trump is focusing on this America First policy. So is there going to be less wading into the issue, less tension over Duterte's controversial drug war?
Well, across Asia, a lot of allied countries are very worried about the Trump presidency. South Korea held an emergency National Security Council meeting just after Trump won, and the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe scrambled to get a meeting with Donald Trump to reassure him on the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. But in a strange turn of events, it seems that the Filipino president, or the Filipino strongman, Rodrigo Duterte, is somehow more glad about the Trump outcome. He said immediately after the election outcome in the United States that Donald Trump is someone who's very similar to me, that I'm not going to pick a quarrel with the United States anymore because Trump is now there. So there is some sort of a emerging bromance, or at least a sense of similarity between those two guys. And Duterte himself said, in many ways, we're very similar. And let's not forget, for a long time, Duterte has been called the Trump of the East. So the other thing here is that Duterte is also intelligently leveraging Trump's business ties. He appointed Jose Antonio, a real estate developer in the Philippines, who built the Trump Tower in Manila, as a special envoy to Washington, D.C. And Antonio's company actually had a 20% uptick in its stocks value right after the election of Donald Trump. So it proved to be a prescient and correct decision to put a business partner of Donald Trump as a special business and investment envoy to Washington, D.C. So he'll try to leverage that. But I think above all, what probably is attractive as far as Donald Trump is concerned for Duterte is that Donald Trump is known to be a more businessman, pragmatic person, as opposed to Democrats, including President Obama, who are much more perhaps idealistic and much more focused on issues like human rights or democracy. So I think Duterte feels that under Trump presidency, U.S. will be less critical of the Philippines' war on drugs, and U.S. will more focus on tangible interaction like business, economics, and investments. And I think that's why Duterte feels that Trump, the outcome of the U.S. election was not so bad after all.
And the change here, how Duterte is regarding the United States, this is a 360-degree change here. You call this an emerging bromance between Trump and Duterte. Just a few months ago, Duterte threatened to curb U.S. military activities in the Philippines. Just a few months ago, he used curse words, a slur to describe the U.S. envoy. So is all that over now that Donald Trump has been elected?
Well, so far what we have seen from Duterte is more bluster than actually policy. I mean, he threatened to expel American special forces, to end all joint exercises, to end security agreements. But so far, we have seen that much of his threats have not materialized in policy. And now that you have Donald Trump, actually, he's beginning not to engage in tirades against the United States. The other day, he had a speech whereby he actually made tirades against the United Nations and Europe. But guess what? He didn't mention the United States anymore. So many people are saying maybe he looks forward to a Trump presidency and looks forward to a much more robust ties with the United States under Donald Trump presidency. But I think a lot in the Philippines were disappointed that Hillary Clinton did not win, because Hillary Clinton, when she was a Secretary of State of the United States, she pushed for more American assistance to the Philippines, especially amid the disputes in the South China Sea with China. So now there's a concern among some strategists in the Philippines that because Donald Trump wants to focus more on domestic issues, he wants to make America great again, and on many occasions he questioned America's military commitments to NATO allies, Japan and Korea, probably he'll be not very helpful to the Philippines in the South China Sea. And of course, the bigger concern with Donald Trump is temperament. In the Philippines, there were concerns with temperament and rhetoric of Duterte. Now there's going to be also similar concern when it comes to Donald Trump.